Okay, guys, welcome back to our channel today. Leslie and I are here together, so that means it is stats time, and we are talking about the month of March. Let's just jump straight in and jump into it because we've seen a little bit of movement, but I want to see where have we been seeing that movement, and Leslie will help give us clarity in that sense. So stand by, guys. Okay, Les, give us clarity.
Okay, no pressure there. This is what we saw. We saw a slight uptick in units sold, up from February of this year, a little over 20%. We only saw a year-over-year uptick of just under 3% in number of units sold. And like I say every month, folks, we're strictly talking about single family. Okay, single family residential. The good news is that the number of listings taken in March was 3,340, up almost 20% from February. This year-over-year number, though, is larger. It's 22%. March to March. So a good sign, in my opinion. The other news is that our median price of the units sold has been $485 now for 3 months. That is kind of a loud tell, meaning it's stayed consistently. So I think that's good news. We haven't had a big jump, and it hasn't gone down.
Right, exactly.
So that's good news. The other good news is that of the units sold, a little over half, 56%, sold in the first 30 days.
Yeah. That's a strong number still, because that number is staying high. Actually, it's increased a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's really a good thing. So even with all of the stuff and everything that's happening out there, the market is still staying strong enough in the sense that things are moving off of the market. Things are still selling. More than half of the market is selling. So not to distract you or not to sort of kind of take you off your thing, but when we think about, what possibly our sellers or what possibly our buyers may be thinking about out there right now, what do you think are some of the concerns that they may be having? I feel like we know, but I just want to talk, of course, in regards to for our listeners. What do we feel as though those concerns some of our sellers and buyers may be dealing with or thinking about at this particular time?
I think as a seller, you're probably thinking, well, there's no inventory in my subdivision, or a serious lack of inventory in my subdivision. So I don't want to say normal folks, but most folks would say, it's supply and demand. Okay, I get that. However, we're not seeing that. Just because you've got a property in your subdivision doesn't mean that you can ask whatever number that you want and you'll get it. And I think there's a couple of things you need to be concerned about as a seller. If you don't have to go anywhere or be anywhere at a certain date, time, then maybe you can hang out for a little while at a higher number. Not at a ridiculously higher number, but maybe at a bit of a higher number. If you have to be somewhere and you have to be out of that house and sold, then you can't, I won't say that. You shouldn't play that game with yourself. So lack of inventory, is it causing a jump in price? Not according to our median sales price. It's not.
Because that median sales price, again, as you said earlier, is still staying and maintaining at that 485, which is a nice number here, but still,
Yeah.
it stayed at that number for 3 months. And just like you said here as well, this really isn't that time to, as a seller, to maybe jump on the market, because we've seen in these last 7 days about, like we said here, about 1,222 new properties come on the market. But look at this number, Les.
That's a huge number.
Like 993 sellers have adjusted their price in order to attempt to get it sold, to put it under contract. So we don't want this price decrease number to be that close to what's happening as far as new listings, because this is really telling us that we still don't have that pricing together. We still aren't coming to the market strong. Just like Les was saying, just because you may be the only one in your subdivision doesn't mean now you have that ability to price whatever you want because there's no one else out there. Speak to our California buyers, Les, in that sense, as far as our California buyers coming in. Is that still happening? Can our sellers rely on that? What's happening there in that sense?
Well, I think that we will always have an influx of buyers from California. I mean, that's just been going on now for years. However, they're not going to come and pay your overpriced figure. They still, a couple of things. If you've got cash and you just love a home and you don't have to have an appraisal, maybe you'll go a bit higher. We've had a client that's done that recently. However, if you are doing a loan, you'll have to get an appraisal, and unless you're putting a massive amount of money down, like 60, 70%, 80% down, then you still have to appraise, and the appraiser is going to look at those numbers. And if they can't justify that number, then you're not going to be able to get the loan for that.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we're in a strong market because again, like Les said earlier, we still have like 56.9% of our people in the first 30 days moving off the market. But 100%, if you're in that strong need, and I cannot I think most people come to the market thinking, well, I don't need to sell. But then there are those people that are just like, no, we need to get this done. Let's get this done ASAP. So if this is let's get this done ASAP, you want to strongly make sure you are working and teaming up with someone that will be able to tell you the exact price that's really going to get you moved in the time frame that you want to get moved in. Not let's play it up here high, let's adjust prices like everyone else is doing. Because like Les was saying, we had a client that came in and they did 1031s. Those 1031s exchanges, 1031 exchanges where you're basically taking like properties and exchanging it over to other like another like property or properties. It's sort of kind of like a tax buffer or tax way of you not having to pay those taxes up front. You can move it
The
from
deferred.
exactly. You defer
It's tax deferral.
exactly from one place to the next. So came in with a time frame. You have to be able to find those properties within a certain period of time. Now
Mhm.
that particular client, we found one great really quickly. That was fantastic. They decided to buy multiple properties, not just one. California, they sold a house for millions of dollars and came here. They were like, oh, well, I can buy a couple of them here. So they bought two houses. One of them they found really quickly. We were able to get that one wrapped up. The second property that we were finding, we went through three different properties, right? It was like three
Yeah,
different properties before we
yeah,
settled on
yeah,
that one. So
yeah. Because on the other side, the seller was stuck on a number, and no matter what the condition of the property was, the seller's expectation was to get that number, and they were unyielding. So, especially when you've got condition issues, that equates to money in any buyer's mind.
exactly. And so our buyers had options. Our buyer at that
Yes.
particular time had options to go and look at the low inventory, the supposed low inventory out there, and they were still able to move to other properties and find that secondary property.
Mhm.
So again, for buyers, thinking about how our buyers may be thinking out there, what could our buyers be thinking about? There's so many things that are going on, of course, we know in the world right now, from the tariffs, which is the big thing that everyone's talking about, to the stock markets and everything else. All of those things are completely viable. There's something that we need to be aware of, something we need to be concerned with. I always, however, like to make sure that we're operating and we're moving not from a fear place, but we're moving from that place of education and making sure we're helping you make the decisions that's going to be best for you and your family. And what we are seeing with those people that are really studying, really understanding the market, really taking the time to look at what's happening, being aware of all the craziness, but they're looking at this really as opportunity for them. These buyers are coming in and they are buying properties right now. They know they have options in the sense of not being stuck with one property. They can go to another property, get the numbers they're looking for, at least be able to work with someone that's going to be able to work with them, kind of thing, and find those properties out there. Did I miss anything in regards to buyers there, Liz, or you want to add anything to that?
I want to add is that we did have, on Monday, the rates dropped to their lowest since October of 2024. So, I mean, you can do an FHA 15-year for around a 5% interest rate. But, if you're right at the 6 mark, which, we've been kind of bouncing around a little bit around that, but that tells me that there's still some faith in the real estate market as a buyer. If you sit and wait, who knows what'll happen? However, if you have a need and you want or need to buy something, I wouldn't play that hedge your bet kind of thing and hope and pray and wish that the rates are going to, go back down to 2%. That was an anomaly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we would all love to see that again. I mean, that would be awesome, right?
It would be amazing.
However, I think the reality check is that that's more than likely not going to happen again.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, with that, rates going down that low, yes, like Les said, it would be absolutely fantastic. Yet again, I think we're starting to get used to, and we're understanding that 6 is probably around that number, and maybe we can get in there, get some funds to go towards our closing and get those rates bought down, all that kind of great stuff. Yet again, 6 people are becoming much more used to that. They're moving forward with those numbers because their need in regards to what they're really looking for is now stronger than worrying about these rates and hoping that we get below these 5s, hoping we get below 4s and all that. I just don't strongly do not see that happening anytime soon. So to wrap these guys up as well here, Les, one thing that we do want to throw out there, we know that for some people, it doesn't matter what's going to happen. It's going to be a tough thing to get them off the fence, to get them into buying. We understand that. But we want to strongly encourage you to let's sit down together. Let's look at all the options that you have. Let's have you talk to a lender. Let's speak with let's speak into all those different sources, talk to all those different professionals. If for some reason after all of that, it still doesn't make any sense for you, and you still need to get out to Las Vegas, you still need to get yourself moved here, we are helping buyers, or we are helping our renters actually move into these properties. However, with helping the renters, just like we help our buyers, we still will do a consultation with you. We're still going to sit down. We're going to do that consultation with you. We're going to ask you all the questions we need to ask. We're going to ask that you send in information, all those different types of things before we start showing you property. We want to make sure that if we start doing these rentals and we start helping out a lot more renters, we want to help people get into houses. This is what we do as real estate. We want to get people into homes. However, we want to make sure that we have all of our I's dotted, all of our T's crossed before we get out there and waste your time, our time, the landlord's time, the property management's time. All those different people have our packages in a sense together before we get you out there looking, and we can be able to be of service. So if you do have that need, still reach out down below. All of our information is down below. We can still help you in regards to being able to rent here again after we've taken you through that consultation. But again, even some of our renters that we've started to help, we still have seen 30% of them turn around and actually buy because they don't realize they don't need 20% down. Some of them still think 20% is what you need to buy a property these days. When we take people through their numbers, their situation, we can help you in both of those situations, to rent or buy a home. So please make sure you reach out to us in that regard. So we'd love to be of assistance. So Les, anything else before we wrap up and give these people back their wonderful time?
Teaser for you. Builders are offering low interest rates for your first couple of years of a mortgage. I'm seeing that coming across every day from builders offering these low interest rates for your first couple of years. So if you need a way to leverage yourself in, we can help you with new construction as well. And there are some deals to be had. We just sold a new home to a buyer coming from California, and she got some really good incentives.
Great incentives, great incentives. So they're out there, definitely. Good stuff, Les. I appreciate that for sure. Yeah, for sure, guys. There's a lot of down payment assistance actually coming from these builders. We can definitely help you find those things. So reach out to us, whether, again, like I said, if it's renting or if it's buying, let us know. And definitely if it's selling, we can definitely be of assistance in that regard. And with that, guys, thank you for your time, and we will see you in our next video. Take care.
See you.